Welcome to Black Women Leading the Podcast. I'm Laura Knight, your host and the founder of BlackWomenLeading.com. Today, we are talking about positioning yourself for new opportunities with Kelli Jackson. Now, if you are in a job seeking kind of position, or you're in transition, career transition, or you want to pivot and you want some insight to improve your search outcomes, if you want to consider more expanded options for your next opportunity, or if you've been thinking about using a recruiter, a talent agent, headhunter in some way and want to get some tips to maximize that type of partnership or collaboration, then you need to keep listening. Let's get into it.
Black woman leading. Black woman leading. This podcast amplifies the needs and experiences of Black women leaders in the workplace with a holistic focus on three core areas: leadership development, mental wellness, and relationship management. Our ultimate aim is to help Black women learn, heal, and grow in their leadership capacity.
Get ready, sis. The Black Women Leading Live Conference and Retreat is back for our 4th annual event. And this year, we're leveling up. In 2026, we're developing future-ready leaders. Leaders prepared to rise, adapt, and thrive in a world that's changing every single day. Designed by Black women for Black women, this is a one-of-a-kind professional development experience. You'll go deep into the heart work and the head work, the alignment, strategy, clarity, and confidence you need to boldly walk into your next level. This year, we're spotlighting the skills and mindsets that define future-ready leadership, navigating disruption, leading through change, anticipating opportunity, and adapting with resilience and vision. Whether you're an emerging, mid-career, or senior leader, this space was created with you in mind. True to our cultural roots, we learn in community, across generations, across experiences, and across our shared brilliance. You'll be surrounded by Black women leaders, coaches, and experts, including direct learning from yours truly as the creator of the Black Women Leading programs and podcasts. If you are ready for transformation, if you are ready to expand your leadership and your wellness, if you're ready to prepare not only for what's now, but what's next, then you belong here. Join us at Black Women Leading Live, May 11th through the 14th in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Save your seat at www.bwlretreat.com. Your future-ready leadership journey starts today. All right. Hey, everybody. Today, we're talking about positioning yourself for new opportunities with Kelli Jackson. Welcome, Kelli.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to talk about this. It's so timely. So I'm excited to jump into this topic, of course. But first, let me give you all the official about Kelli. Kelli Jackson is the founder of Expert Edge Career Management Agency, a pioneering firm that represents and positions senior leaders, executives, and industry experts where market demand is surging. With over 2 decades of experience spanning recruiting, talent acquisition, and career strategy, Kelli has redefined how senior leaders navigate career transitions. Rather than teaching traditional job search tactics, she helps clients understand where demand already exists for their expertise and how to position themselves to capture it. Sounds like strategy. That's what we're into around here. So I thought this was so timely. Kelli and I connected on LinkedIn, and it was really just a LinkedIn connection. I kind of looked at her profile and I'm like, wait a minute, Kelli talking about some things over here. This might work. And we were actually thinking about next season, but it worked out that we can make it work this season. So I'm super excited. But why this episode? One of the things, and you probably can pull this from the bio that you were just listening to me read about Kelli, is that, you know, it's a different thing going on out here, right? We look at, over the last months, the stats about the number of Black women leaving the workforce, and some of that forced through layoff, they're pivoting and making their own decisions. But it's requiring, I think, some freshness in how we are approaching our career search, approaching how we're looking for our next opportunity. And as you can see just from the bio that I read from Kelli, there's some different even language that she's using that I think really affirms and aligns our values based approach to everything we do here at Black Woman Leading. So I wanted Kelli to come on and drop these gems for us, y'all, because we need them. So we're going to get into Kelli's expertise. But Kelli, before we start talking about finding the next opportunity and all of that,
Mhm.
I always like to start the podcast by asking our guests, what does the phrase Black Woman Leading mean to you? And I read your bio, but share just a little bit about your journey as a real life Black woman leading and how you kind of came to this current work.
Yeah, definitely real life Black woman for sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to share with your community. To me, I would say that leading, Black women leading, it represents both legacy and responsibility, right? And so
Mhm.
when you think about the way we lead our homes and community and families, we may not be given the title, but we definitely have the work behind us. And throughout my career working in the public and private sector in recruiting, I've seen how Black women are overlooked. And it's not due to capability, but more about underrepresentation. And
Mm.
so I kind of made it my mission once I kind of left the rat race to empower Black women and to share with them, the lead with value, right? And that your value matters. And so now I help senior leaders to position themselves in the market and understand that their careers are assets. They're not liabilities, regardless of what the
Mm.
market is doing, what the headlines say, what the government is doing. You have an asset, and all assets produce an ROI, a return on investment. So when you recognize your value, then you can walk into any market, regardless of the headlines, and you could
Yeah.
just position yourself, and demand will come to you.
I love it. I love it. So I want to get into your philosophy,
Sure.
Kelli, and how you are thinking about this work differently, how you're doing the work differently. I read somewhere you call yourself like a talent agent. Even that language is different for leaders and executives.
Yeah,
This is different language than we normally hear, right?
sure.
So can you share a little bit about the philosophy, the asset, the return on investment, the talent agent, these different words you use and how that kind of informs how you are approaching your work.
Sure. So if you think about it, if you think about an athlete, I'm from Illinois, so I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan. You think about your favorite actor or actress or entertainer, it could be someone that sings, right? They are represented by an agent who goes out on their behalf and they secure opportunities for them, right? And so you, I, and all professional women that are listening, we also hold what I shared earlier, our assets, our skills, our knowledge, our talent, our abilities, our breadth, our depth, all of those are assets which you manage, right? And so if you manage that, then you should have a manager, a talent agent to help you and advocate on your behalf. Often what I find as women, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but and talking about finding mentors when what we really need are advocates and sponsors, those that go before us. And
Mhm.
I noticed that in my career and in the different rooms that I'm in, a lot of those positions that aren't posted on job boards, you can't find them on LinkedIn. Someone advocated. So, oh yeah, I know Laura. Oh yeah, I know
Yeah.
Denise. Oh yeah, I know. So this is where my philosophy comes in with representing talent that a lot of you have, and showing you the opportunities, and you don't have to go on job boards. You just have to be
Mm.
in position.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit just about what this imposition. And I think
Mhm.
I'm a visual learner, so I'm almost trying to imagine the process, the workflow and all of that. What does that look like for if someone is like, okay, they're looking for that next opportunity, they're looking for support and this is really piquing their ears up.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's some type of kind of data mining, right, about their skills and expertise, but then how do you how does it go from here's what I'm looking for, here's my asset to what are the areas that are in demand for that? What does that process look like?
Sure, sure. That's a great question. And so it does start with your skill set. It starts with what you're good at, where your knowledge base is, and what you have to offer the market. You can think of it as you are a product, right?
Mhm.
And what do you have for sale? So, are you selling project management? Are you selling operations? Are you selling sales? Whatever you have, your skills, your assets, your talents, your knowledge, those are your products. And so, when you think about that, this is how you position yourself. Okay, who in the marketplace is buying what I have for sale?
Got it.
Right? So if you're at a football game, again, I'm a huge sports fan, as you can tell. If you're at a football game, and when I get out of Mercedes-Benz Stadium after watching the Falcons play, I'm hungry. If
Yeah.
there's one guy with a hot dog stand, everything's closed, it's late, we got up, he doesn't have to move. He don't
Yeah.
have. He just stands right there, and there is a line wrapped around the stadium because why?
Yeah.
He's in position.
Yeah.
Same
He
kind
just
of.
gotta have the hot dogs
That's
ready, right?
right.
Enough of them.
With the
Enough of
ketchup
them
and the
hot
mustard
dogs.
and the relish, you got to have all the fixings,
Yeah.
right?
So I'm imagining this kind of in position piece is really about leveraging network. It's about you know, also not only being very clear about your skills, strengths, the
Mhm.
product, but also I would imagine like some messaging about that out to the marketplace so people know that you're available for that. So what does that look like? It's kind of leveraging the different places where this demand may be.
Yeah, that's you actually touched on it very well when you mentioned uh, the story, the narrative, the messaging. Right? Is it's what you want to be known for. If your
Mhm.
resume starts with "I'm a customer service advocate," that's what you want to be known for, right? So it is in the messaging, whether that's on your CV or resume or your LinkedIn profile, on your portfolio, on your website. So the narrative and the story that you tell, I tell my daughter this all the time. The narrative that you're creating is what people will perceive because their
Yeah.
perception is their reality, right? So it is the
Yeah.
messaging. It is also how you value yourself. I was just reading something last night and it shared, a lot about how we look at ourselves really determines how other people feel, what our worth is. That's all a salary
Mm.
band is. Whether you're in the public or
Yeah.
private sector, the public sector has the GS levels, where the private sector has salary bands.
Yeah.
That's just someone determining what you're worth on a scale. But you have to know what your value is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. So let's talk. I know your expertise is really around those looking for those senior and those executive level roles. As you're out there kind of really in this current context in the current market, what do you see as the biggest barriers? And we can even say maybe flip side of the coin, biggest untapped opportunities in today's job market for Black women or people in general.
Sure. I think the biggest barrier is just underrepresentation. And that's kind of
Mm,
twofold because one falls on you, the other falls on those that are looking at you. So I'll start with those that are looking at you. We already know about age bias, we know about race discrimination, we know
mhm.
about being judged, if you will, based on performance versus potential,
Yeah.
right? There's a difference in those things. So there's that underrepresentation that lies on the employer, the decision maker, the stakeholder. And then the flip side of that is when you undervalue yourself, when you're not advocating for yourself. This is something we weren't taught. We weren't
Yeah.
taught to sell ourselves, to sell our skills, to advocate for ourselves. So it comes off as bragging, especially as women of color. And inside of our homes, we were taught to be seen and not heard. Right?
Yeah.
Use your inside voice. All of those things we still grow up with as adults. We shy away, we sit at the end of the conference table, or we shrink, we don't take up space. So those are the barriers that I see for anyone at any level. It really doesn't matter. I just think
Yeah.
we're conditioned that way.
Yeah.
Um, and then the opportunities outside of the barriers, right now what I'm seeing is the cross functionality that's available to those
Mm,
that are seeking opportunities. It doesn't matter if you worked in government, nonprofit, or corporate sector. The combination of skills that you have and the various projects and relationships that you built, that combination is unique, and it's unique to you, just like your fingerprint. So that's leverage. That's what you
mm,
use to stand out. I get that question all the time. How do I stand out? How do I stand out? It's in here. It's what you've done.
yeah,
No one can tell. I have a ton of stories that nobody else in the world will have. Nobody else in the
yeah,
world would have. I had a person washing her feet inside of the bathroom when I was working in HR at a company. I can only tell that story. Nobody else can.
yeah. Yeah, and that's an interesting story. We're gonna
Yeah,
have to come back on the podcast for that because I'm like, what now? Say what?
exactly. So you see how I perked your ears up. This is my point.
Yeah,
Now, I
yeah,
wouldn't tell this story in an interview, but
of
you know what I
course.
mean.
But I mean, it's about the package, right, that you put together. And
For sure.
interesting, I was just having another conversation with Dr. Elizabeth Adams, and she's an expert in the AI space in workforce innovation. And she was talking about once you can identify some of these things, assets that you bring, right,
Mhm.
that you can then use some tools like AI or Chat GPT to help you get that messaging together because it's one thing to have the product, it's another thing
Mhm.
to be able to talk about it, right?
Sure.
And working with professionals like Kelli can help you to do that, but there is some packaging I think that people need to
Mhm.
do to really kind of leverage those different experiences and things that they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. For sure.
And I want to come back and talk to you about the storytelling aspect too, but I would love to hear because you are seeing what the seeker is looking for, but also the decision maker and the employer.
Mhm.
What trends are you seeing right now, particularly among kind of those senior level roles? Are companies rethinking what leadership looks like in ways that could benefit us? Is there you seeing more flexibility and kind of what we're looking for in candidates? What are you seeing as trends from the employer or the decision maker side?
Sure. So from a leadership perspective, I'll back up a little bit. I won't go too far. I'm deep into this, but there
Yeah.
was a time where we had the industrial age where people were going to work into factories, and finally women were able to work, and then the middle class was born, and people were working. We are now kind of going into a new age with AI and automation where companies are becoming more leaner with the onset of COVID and working from home. They learned rather quickly what they can do with and who they can do without. Right. And
Yeah.
so now, from a leadership perspective, it's those that have the capacity to handle complex situations, to build teams, to be able to be an operator and an executor and a strategic advisor. So if you have those
Yeah.
combination of skills, then you'll find yourself like one of the folks Mark Zuckerberg was looking for, who he paid $1 million to. So on top of having the skill set and the cross functionality, you will also receive the compensation. But back to your point
Mm.
about packaging it so that they can see the value that you offer. That's where a lot of people, leaders or not, struggle, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing people want both that operational and the strategic kind of skill. And we've been talking a lot about that in Black Women Lead. We actually had a workshop about that a few months ago,
Mhm.
kind of leveraging both sides of that. And I think too, it's a call out for people that maybe you are not quite in transition yet. You're still in the role, but you know you want to be moving forward. If we think in that asset return on investment kind of entrepreneurial mindset that you were kind of leading with when we started this, I would even encourage people that even though you know you're about to get up out of here, you want to move. Is it skill sets you can use the current space for to build, right?
Mm,
To
mhm,
strengthen, whether it's the strategic capacity. Is there an opportunity you can participate in creating a strategy for something, right?
mhm,
Even if you don't own it. Because what I'm hearing from Kelli, they want you to be adaptable. They want you to be
mhm,
able to write the plan, then go on in there and roll up your sleeves and implement the plan too. Or at least leverage the tools, the technology. So I have the vision and I'm gonna tell AI.
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
tell the
That's it.
tool how to execute it,
Hmm.
but I need to know a little something about it to even be able to give those instructions, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that gives us some cues there.
Hmm.
If you're still in a space, even if they're getting on your nerves and you rolling your eyes, what can you use some people in there to build some strategy, some mastery, some skills around?
That's so
That's
good.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I remember when we spoke, you referenced this owning your job search, really owning your job search. Can you, and I love that language. Can
Hmm.
you share a little bit about what does that mean from your vantage point when you say kind of owning your job search? And what are some either behaviors or mindsets that you see that the successful candidates do differently? The people who are getting what they want, the people who are negotiating and getting the dollars they want, getting the roles they want, what are they doing? What can we take from them?
Sure, sure. So I think most importantly, when it comes to owning your job search, it's about using data. We spoke earlier about demand. I talked about the hot dog stand. So looking to see what industries are hiring. Why apply to retail when you know Amazon has taken over? Right? Everybody's
Yeah.
shopping online. Why continue to apply in a space that has been disrupted? If you know the government is not funding DOE, Department of Education, why continue to apply? So
Yeah.
own your search. Realize that you may not have worked before in renewable energy or clean energy or in the space sector, but it doesn't mean they don't have marketing, sales, operations, and finance inside of there.
Right, right, right.
So own the job search. Don't
Absolutely.
just randomly and haphazardly apply to see if it's going to stick because you're wasting time.
Yeah.
And some of us have more summers behind us than ahead of us. So time is not
Uh-oh.
our friend. But it's being more strategic, if I could just put it in a word. And again, it's something that we're not taught. So, don't feel as if, oh, I should have known that. You shouldn't have. This is the world that I'm in. And so now that you know, you're responsible for what you know. But definitely that's my philosophy around owning your job search. Not sure if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but what I'm hearing is that we have to be a little bit more expansive with how we're viewing this, right? We may
Right.
have, I've always worked in this area, I've always
There you
done
go.
this industry, this sector, but you have skills that I'm hearing that are transferable.
Mhm.
And I mean, it would be wise. I recommended to one of our Black woman leading participants the other day who has an interest of pivoting in a different sector that she's never been in, but
Mhm.
has a wealth of transferable skills.
Mhm.
I told her just go on the job boards to see in that industry what roles are people hiring for that you know you could do,
Right.
even if you don't know the industry. And she's not even at the point of hiring, just of applying.
Just
She's
yet.
just
Mhm.
exploring and saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, I see it's a lot of opportunity and money everywhere I turn. They're talking about this industry growing, but I never worked in that industry. But like you said, you've got people management skills. You have done project management. You've
Mhm.
developed strategy." And I told her just do a exploratory research project to see, go look in that field that you know is booming and what is out there that is if we do the Venn diagram, has an overlap with what you have. And
Mhm.
it seems very basic, right?
Mhm.
But I think we get in our comfort zones, right? We get
Yeah.
in our comfort zones, and sometimes you need that little jolt to say, but I could be doing this in a different place. And so if you take nothing else from this podcast, baby, there go your nugget, there go your money right there. Go on and take it.
Yeah.
All right. But let's go back to the storytelling, because I think it's so powerful. It's one thing to have the receipts, it's another thing to be able to talk about it,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Can you share a little bit more about, what recommendations are you giving your clients around storytelling, how they position their experience, communicate their value?
Mhm.
And sometimes people feel a little way about this because they, that humble, I'm humble,
Don't
or
want to say
I don't want to
anything.
over explain. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what would you recommend to about the messaging, the language? How do we get that piece together?
You want to think of it as, again, we talked about advocating for yourself and selling your skill set, just like you would sell this pen, right? Or if I had a pen.
Right.
And so you want to now when you're in these high stake conversations or behind closed doors having these conversations and dialogue around opportunities, you want to talk about your value and not so much about tasks, duties, responsibilities, but
Ah,
outcomes, achievements, and results, because it's more
yes.
about impact and less about your duties and how you did a thing. No, tell me about the result. I don't really want to, I don't care how you did it.
Yeah.
Give me the result of what you
The
did.
transformation
Yeah.
that you helped to produce. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when it comes to storytelling, you should have some stories, and I share with my clients, and I have them to pick three different stories based off of the pillars that the company is looking for. So if they're looking for someone that has led, teams or worked on a complex implementation, so we're going to grab a story from each of those core tenants or core pillars that we know that they're looking for, and we can use that interchangeably around any question that they receive. And so the story is basically using the framework STAR. If you're not familiar with the STAR or the CAR
Hmm.
framework, situation, task, action, result, you can easily go into that conversation if you, one, have the story ready, right? Because a lot of us, again, is not something we do every day, telling stories about ourselves and the outcomes that we've been able to achieve. So having that framework keeps you concise and precise, and you're not kind of over here, you're not rambling, but it comes off as a narrative. It's not, well, I did this, and then I did this. When I worked there, I did this, I did this. So that's not the leadership characteristic they may be looking for. And again, you don't have to have a leadership title to use these tactics, but you always want to come across as confident and credible, right? And you do
Yeah.
that by sharing what you've worked on and the outcome of the thing that you have been in contact with. So
That's good. And those tools, the STAR,
mhm,
the focusing on outcomes, transformation, data,
mhm,
which is really strategic language. That's rich. That is really rich there.
mhm,
Now let's talk about, because this episode is about positioning yourself for new opportunities, right?
mhm.
Um you work closely with a lot, as we said in your bio, senior leaders, execs, industry experts that are maybe pivoting, exploring new directions. What are you seeing around creative or non-traditional career paths that people are pursuing, or maybe integrating more into their search these days than maybe in the past?
Sure. So, we all grew up around just finding that full time, stable role where we
Yes.
could retire from. And we all know that that's pretty much gone at
The
this
good
point,
government job,
right?
right?
A good,
Ain't no
good
more
city
good
job. Yeah.
government jobs.
Right, right. And we kind of know that that's no more. So what I'm seeing and what I am recommending to a lot of the professionals I'm working with is looking at contracting or consulting roles. There's a difference
Hmm.
between the two. Consulting is when you work as a strategic advisor, where contracting is where you roll up your sleeves and you work with the internal team. So
Yeah.
looking at consulting and contracting. And then over the years, I've heard many professionals, I don't want to contract. I don't want to contract. I don't want to contract. Well, right now, it might be, it might be what you
Listen.
got. And some of them are like 18, 24, 36 months. And by then
Yeah.
you're tired anyway. You
Yeah.
want to do
Yeah.
something
Ready for
different.
something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you look at contracting, consulting, fractional based roles where you are the subject matter expert. You can work with startups and some of these companies that are in rounds of funding through private equity
Yeah.
firms, and they may need someone to come in 15, 20 hours per week, but they're paying you 300, 400, and $500 an hour. I have a few of my clients that are currently working on projects like that through the end of the year. And so that's an opportunity for you to, one, although the compensation may look good, but when you kind of break it all down throughout the year, it's kind of like the same as what you
Yeah.
made, or but what you're getting is exposure to new skill set, to new organizations, and I think that's more valuable because you can make money. You can work at McDonald's and make money, but being
Yeah.
exposed to different um, opportunities, innovations, and skill sets, I think that's where the real value is. So, looking at you know the different ways that you can leverage your knowledge and skills. It could be contracting, consulting, fractional, or project based work.
Mm,
One of the things I did when I was, in my career, I was tapped for a project here in Atlanta to work on the Atlanta Beltline in the early 2000s. And that was a project that lasted for 24 months. But I was exposed to so much that I'm
mm.
able now to have these stories. That's why I tell you all that that's why you have assets. The
Yeah.
stories you have, the work that I didn't know back then that I would be talking about it now, but that's kind of how God sets you up, right?
Okay, right. For such a time
Yeah.
as this.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, just
Yes.
thinking about those four: project based, contracting, consulting, and fractional.
I love it. And I think we're really about options, right? And
Mhm.
so even if you are pursuing the full time and you're looking for those opportunities, throw in a couple of nets in these other places too, just so you can have some things to compare. You can have some options. I was having a conversation with Camila Martin. She helps people. She was in the earlier episodes of the season. She has a organization, Community Catalyst, and it's about really helping people transition to consulting. But she talks about, for a lot of people in her community, the consulting is not the end all be all. It was really a pathway for a season that really supported them to take care of themselves, take care of their families. But it opened up, to your point, because of the exposure, it opened up and put them on new paths that they never would have even considered had they not did the consulting path. So I think it's, let's cast the net wide, right? And
Mhm.
put those things on the table, so that you feel like you have some things to transition to, or you have some options, right, to consider.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Kelli, what do you refer to yourself as? I know you're a talent agent, but I hear people use recruiter. I hear people use headhunter. What do you put yourself under, if any of those?
Yeah, none of those.
None.
Yeah, none of those.
Okay.
It would just be,
Kelli. It's Kelli.
yeah, it's just Kelly, right? Founder of a career management agency.
Yes.
Only because everyone has their own definition, and I don't want you to get it
Yeah.
twisted ever. So,
Get it. Get it. Okay, so we leave that alone. But the angle I was going with, because you have people,
Mhm.
no matter what you want to call them, they want to work with a professional like yourself, to help them to find a job. And maybe they've never done that before. They've never worked with, and they don't know, what are they looking for?
Yeah.
How do they leverage you as a real part of their career team? Right. And they may be like, I need some additional help, but don't know what that looks like to really engage and maximize, optimize a resource like you. Can you
Mhm.
provide a little bit of insight of what a good collaboration, a partnership, what does that look like?
Yeah, such an important question, especially right now, because I've seen and heard horror stories. And
Absolutely.
and No, I mean, I was joking earlier, but I do consider myself and created the language around talent agent. But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I and I've moved through, the levels, and I was director over at Microsoft and then at Samsung. But recruiting and talent acquisition is what we do. But you have to realize that a recruiter works for a company,
Yeah.
right? And so that's their sole goal, is to work for a company. A headhunter is someone that you hire. Companies hire them also. That's where the kind of differentiator comes in. But you can also hire a headhunter to work on your behalf to help you
Mm,
to secure opportunities. You also have this new label that came out around COVID, the career coach. But if you dig a little bit, you don't have to dig far. They've never recruited. Doesn't mean that they're not good. Doesn't mean that they can't be
yeah.
helpful. But again, it's all about what you're looking for. For me, if I got a flat tire, I don't want to go to my next door neighbor because it's a guy. I want to go to John the mechanic who's done this before, because I got
Right.
to get on the road and my kids have to get in the car. So I want safety and I want
Exactly.
confirmation that I'm going to be okay. So whenever you're looking for someone, ladies, when we get our hair done, we look at the reviews, we ask people, because it's important to us. So do a little
Yeah.
bit of work, do a little bit of due diligence, check the LinkedIn, because if they've really been doing it like that, it'll show. You can't fake
It'll show.
it. You can't fake
Yeah,
it.
there has some receipts
There
around
you
it.
go.
What should that dynamic though? What's a healthy, because like you said, we've heard some horror stories too.
Mhm.
What does a healthy collaborative dynamic look like between those professionals and the job seeker?
Sure. I believe it's a partnership. When I work with my
Yeah.
clients, it's a two-way street because I was just talking to one of my clients and I was sharing with her, it's been a few weeks and I have milestones in place to where if I don't see traction, and again, these are the nuances, just like you that's listening, that the nuances of your job. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
posted in a job description, but I kind of know if I don't get some sort of signal, we may need to change the strategy. So,
Got
and
it.
I'm okay with that. I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect, especially in this market. But I do know
Yeah.
that at a certain amount of time, something should have occurred. So then we'll get on a call, or we'll just touch base, whichever line of communication is most convenient, and we'll either tweak the CV, we'll think about adjacent roles
Got it.
or bridge roles, or just
Hmm.
broadening kind of our horizon there. So it's definitely a partnership. You want to make sure that they're asking you questions similarly to, and you can tell I use a lot of analogies just so everyone understands. Just like when you
Yeah.
go into a doctor's office, they say, when did you have the pain? On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate the pain? When did it start? If they're not asking you questions, but saying, oh, yeah, I can help you, run, go the
Yeah.
other way.
Yeah. So it should be very iterative. Like, we got a
Absolutely.
strategy that we created custom to you
That's
and
it.
your skills,
Yeah.
but we're checking in, we're talking, and if it's not working, we're pivoting. We're kind of real time
Right.
adjusting this based on not only the market, but you and the assets that you're bringing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
if it's a one and done, you did that 20-minute call, paid your money, and they like, we're gonna send your resume out and let you know.
Yeah.
That's not the move, ladies. That is not the move. Okay. It should be, like you said, a collaborative partnership.
For
Now,
sure.
are there other, when we think about like a strong career team for someone
Mm.
who is really seeking that next role, especially an experienced person, who else is on the team, right? That is supporting this effort or should be on the team, would you say?
Yeah, I love that. Everybody should have a board of directors. You are the CEO
Yep.
of you. Everybody should have. But if you want to start with your three foundational, I call it SAM, SAM. So
Mm-hmm.
sponsor, advocate, and mentor. Each of them play a different role in your life. That should be your starting three. And then you
Yep.
move into, your personal, if you a life coach, fitness,
Yep.
you move into the different areas of your life that you want to optimize for. But
Mm-hmm.
definitely, I believe the foundational career team should start with your SAM, sponsor, advocate, and
Okay.
mentors. Yeah,
Yep, and I tell you, throw in emotional support there too.
for sure.
Your sister girl, your work
Yeah.
bestie, something, because sometimes it's rough out
Oh
here, and
yeah,
it take a little bit of time until you get to where you're going.
for sure.
I love this. I love this. And I want to transition in just a second and ask you some of our season theme questions as a real Black woman leading.
Sure.
But before we transition, this journey of being in transition, of pivoting, it could be scary, it can be stressful, right? You got people that depend on you, you got things you want to experience, your own kind of self-actualization you want to satisfy. As people are navigating this, what's one piece of advice you would want every Black woman leading, listening, to remember as they are pursuing and seeking that next opportunity?
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing we should all remember is that our careers, our experiences, they're not an accident. It's an
Mhm.
accumulation, right? It's an accumulation of everything that you've been able to contribute, everything you've been able to solve, all the results you've been able to create, and they're assets. I've said that
Yeah.
throughout our conversation today. But if you can look at everything that you've done, doesn't matter what your title is, it doesn't matter where you've worked, and even right now, the conditions around you. One thing they can't take from you, they can take your job, they can take your title, they can even take your pay.
Yep.
They'll never take your skills and your knowledge. Never,
Yeah.
never,
Sure.
never. That's why tradesmen and what they call it, trades back in the day were so popular.
Yeah.
Plumbers, electricians.
Yep. Journeyman
There you
and all of
go.
that. Yeah.
They have that skill forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So remember your
And I think,
assets. Yeah.
yeah, those technical skills we've kind of really compartmentalize those. But what I've heard you say today is whether you are a plumber or an electrician or not,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
have more knowledge based skills, you still can compartmentalize those as assets that are transferable and that can open doors for you.
Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
you've solved, you survived. None of that is wasted. We've had bad
Yeah.
experiences, good experience. None of it goes to waste. I can only tell these stories because I cried a lot. And I was
Yeah.
overlooked a lot. I was talked about a
Yeah.
lot. Being the only Black woman back in the 90s in HR. Oh yeah, I got the
Yeah.
stories, I got the scars. But that's why I'm here today
Yeah.
to talk about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and helping people navigate
Yeah.
the path forward. I love it. Any final things you just want to say on this topic of kind of, pursuing your next opportunity?
Just go for it. Just, the headlines are going to be there. The conditions will be there. A tree stands tall through the winter, the fall, the spring, the hot 100
Yep.
degrees. Stand tall, stand firm, 10 toes down. Keep going. Don't stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, don't stop. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's transition a little bit.
Okay.
Our season 8 theme is leaning into joy, and
Mm.
we have been, I mean, really coming off that last point. So much stuff is happening, right? And it's going to keep happening. And so we have to really be vigilant about finding our joy, increasing our joy, leaning into our joy, experiencing our joy.
Mhm.
So we wanted to center some questions around this for our guests who we view as possibility models, right? For our listeners, in this stage of your career, right? You talked about been there, done that, right? But is in this stage in your career, what does leading with joy look like for you these days?
For me these days, it is definitely leading without apology. I've apologized too many times when I didn't have
Mm,
to for being me. And there's freedom in
yeah,
being unapologetic. And
yeah,
that's what joy is. It's the freedom to be me, not have to put that mask on anymore,
yeah,
and do all things unto the glory of God, and
yeah.
everything else will be added unto me. That's what joy is.
Yes.
Yeah.
You better come on and preach this word here. But has that, has your definition of joy shifted over time? I love to ask this question because we are always becoming,
Yeah.
and just the maturity of life of, like, we're different, right?
Hmm.
From the experiences that we have. How has that shifted for you? What joy was once upon a time and what it is now? How has that shifted?
Sure. I think for me, it's before I looked for that external validation, whether it was in my title or,
Yeah.
working for, I've worked for Starbucks and Coca-Cola and AT. So I was looking for the big brand name companies to put on my resume
Yeah.
and just be, or the compensation. I'm making $85 an hour at Samsung. And I'm telling you, all of that I thought is was the joy until I start working with people like, your listeners and
Mhm.
others. Um, and right now it's all about alignment.
Mm.
Um, I don't I don't work with everyone. Everyone is not my person, and I'm not the person for everyone. And that could be
Yes.
professionally or personally. We may not be meant to be friends. It's
Yeah. And
okay.
that's okay. And that's
Okay.
okay. Yeah.
So I think that's how it shifted. Looking for that external validation, and now it's purely within, and knowing
Yeah.
my purpose and my calling, and um, who I really report to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What a blessing. So joy can be fleeting,
for
right?
sure.
Whether through experiences, relationships, ongoing practices you have for yourself. What are some things, tangible experiences, things that you're doing that's bringing you joy in this season of your life? And how are you intentionally creating space to experience those things?
Sure. So I am creating impact without sacrificing my peace. And so
Yeah.
there's nowhere that I am that is not intentional. I know ahead of time where I'm going to be and who I'm going to be with, whether that's alone or with someone, like we're doing now.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's important to me at this stage. It hasn't always been that way. I've
Yeah,
always had
yeah.
that type of foresight into what's important and how valuable time is. But for me, it's just ensuring that anyone that experiences me, they leave better than when they came. That's important to me. I am a
Yeah.
builder and I'm a visionary, and it's not building just businesses, but building people.
Yeah.
And that's important to me. So,
Yeah, that really resonates.
yeah.
Well, this has been wonderful talking to you, Kelly.
Yeah.
How can people connect with you? Anything special you have going on? How can they work with you? Give us the scoop.
What the scoop? Definitely follow me on LinkedIn. That's where I am most of the time. It's just my name, Kelly with an I, Kelli Jackson. I got a yellow sweater on because I have my staffing agency profile. People are like, is this you? Is this you? Is I got the glasses
Kelly with the
on
yellow
with the
sweater.
yellow sweater. Kelly
Now,
with
don't
an I.
change your picture no
There you
time
go.
soon, Kelly.
And I'm planning on doing that next year. That's so funny you said that. But yeah, definitely follow me. I am on all platforms, Kelly with an I. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I got a ton of people over there, but that's where I just kind of chill out. But I
Yeah,
prefer that you follow me over on LinkedIn. If you want to work with
LinkedIn.
me, I also just you can book a call appointment right there on LinkedIn. I have a link there, and it tells you more about what my talent agency looks like, and what representation would look like if we decide to partner together. So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And we'll put all those links in the show notes as well. All right, well, you all. I hope you got some nuggets from this episode to support you in this season of your career journey. If so, share this with your colleagues, with your friends, with your family, and get the word out about this work that we're doing here and the types of conversations that we're having that are exclusively for us. We are available on all major podcast platforms. You can find us wherever there are podcasts, and you can also listen to our podcast episodes on our at Black Woman Leading YouTube channel. If you want to connect with us on socials, we are at Black Woman Leading, and woman is singular, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you love to connect with me personally, LinkedIn is the best place to get me as well, Laura E. Knights. I'm also active on Instagram. You're going to see more of my kids on Instagram, though. And if you want to learn about the work we do inside of organizations to support their employee development, the leadership programs we do, the team coaching and team alignment programs we do inside of organizations, check out our corporate site at knightsconsultinggroup.com. We would love to connect with you in any of these ways. And until next time, be well.